Good morning, everyone. We have Dr. Amitav Mishra with us. Uh, he is a professor at Indira Gandhi National Open University and a general secretary at Special Olympics Bharat. We invite him to present on the topic intellectual disability. Amitav, sir, over to you.
Yeah. So I'll use my screen.
Should I
Please
stop
allow me to use my screen.
Okay, I'm stopping the share.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Dr. Amitav Mishra will be taking a topic on intellectual disabilities. And Dr. Amitav Mishra has been honored with several awards such as Eunice Shriver Kennedy Award from Special Olympics, the De Rossi Award from Indian Council of Secondary Education, New Delhi, for Human Enrichment and Education, and the Governor's Award from Excellence for Excellence in Services to Person with Disability, Government of Uttar Pradesh. Welcome, Dr. Amitav Mishra.
Thank you, Victor Vaj. I'm really privileged to have such a good number of participants in this webinar. Will definitely, these 45 minutes will be very fruitful to all of us. My very good morning to everyone. I'd like to request you, before I start my presentation about intellectual disability, if you could introduce yourself, that will be very nice. Please read below, and in your chat box, please write 1 to 8. Whatever is appropriate. If you are an athlete, write 1. If you are a coach, write 2. If you are a special education or rehab professional, write 3. If you are a mainstream teacher, you can write 4. Mainstream teacher means regular teacher. If you are a parent or family member, please write 5. If you are a government sports administrator, please write 6. If you are a Special Olympics sports administrator, please write 7. If any other categories you feel you are a doctor, health professional, or you just specify, write 8 and specify. I think people are keep on writing. So thank you very much. So you have given your response. It is compulsory for everyone to give the response right in your chat box. So I'll go to my presentation. Thank you very much. You have given your response 1 to 8. Thank you. You know, our fingers are not the same. But we never think any finger is weak, any finger is strong. So that's why the individual difference is the best gift of the nature. Just imagine if in a garden you have only one type of flower, in a shop only one type of things, in a park only one thing. We have different things. That's why we enjoy what we are on this earth. So individual difference is the best gift of the nature. We are different. Everyone different. Everyone is unique. Even in a family, even in the community, in your school, in your office, wherever you go, you are different from others. That is what you are. You are unique, and you enjoy that uniqueness with rest of the world. So everyone is unique. So that's why I said individual difference is the best gift of the nature. When you talk about intellectual disability, it affects us individual when we fail to understand individual difference. Please try to understand this concept. When you talk intellectual disability, try to understand it is the individual difference. It is not a disease, not a condition, not something else that every time we have to keep in our mind, yes, the child has intellectual disability. The child is something different from the rest of the world. No, no. It is only the way everyone is individual, so he is or she is different. So with this perspective, we like to understand full concept of intellectual disability and what are the changing trend in the concept, changing trend in the labeling, why we have come, why we want to say bye-bye to retard word. So all the things we'll be discussing in this presentation. You know, as per DSM-5, we have to understand what intellectual disability is. It happens with onset during developmental period. That includes both intellectual and adaptive functioning deficits in conceptual, social, and practical domains. So there are several definitions of intellectual disability. So whichever is the latest, let us stick to that. So we have come across 3 points in this definition, what DSM-5 says. Number 1, deficits in intellectual functioning. Deficits in adaptive functioning. And third point is during developmental period. These 3 points are very, very important whenever we refer any person who is having a condition, so as you may technical refer as intellectual disability, but the person is first. The deficit in intellectual functioning is something like there could be some people who are intellectually very bright. So there is you can see this normal probability curve, 68% people within the average intelligence. There are people which are with high intelligence, people with lower intelligence. So that means everyone is not same with the construct of intelligence. Everyone is different with their own intelligence. Try to understand what intelligence is. Not doing well in academics is not the ability to well in academics is not the intelligence. The ability to interact effectively is not only intelligence. The ability to do some kind of creative thing, that is not only intelligence. Intelligence cover many, many, many areas. So many times what we think, person has deficit in reasoning, person has deficit in academic skills, we consider, oh, that person has low intelligence, or we many times refer low IQ. Even a person with low IQ can have some areas very, very significant abilities, exceptional abilities. Even person with low intelligence can have. That's why we have multiple intelligence. Somebody is smart in action, means good in sports. Somebody is good in music. Somebody is good with nature. Somebody is good with, there could be good with music. There could be many, many things where we call intelligence is not only doing well in academics. It's not only have good reasoning. It covers everything. So people have found people with lower intelligence long ago. You can see this from Mexico, that is 500 AD, around 1500 years before. You can see the pottery work, which is says it is reflecting a person with Down syndrome. It means over the many years, people have understood that intelligence is unique across the population. People have different level of intellectual functioning. When you talk about people with low IQ, people with intellectual deficit in intellectual functioning, so definitely we call, if it is 2 standard deviation below in statistical term, then 70 or 70 below. There are many classification system. It can goes up to 75. That's a country to country that matters. So which is very standard, that depends on the country, that country adopts or the country legislation adopts. In country we have 70 or 70 or less, we call it low intelligence, and the people has to be certified with intellectual disability have to come under that. So like IQ is 55 to 69, we call mild, 40 to 54, we call moderate, 25 to 39, we call severe, profound is IQ below 25. And I have already mentioned there could be little bit difference in this table from agency to agency, from country to country, and from legislation to legislation. When you talk about deficits in adaptive functioning, I have already mentioned there are 3 important areas. One is conceptual skill, second is social skill, third is practical skill. The person, the individual, if has deficits in two areas, then you can say the person has deficit in adaptive functioning. In conceptual skill, we know communication, functional academics, self-direction, that comes under conceptual skill. Social skill includes social skills, leisures. Practical skill includes self-care, home, school, living, community use, health and safety, work. These are all practical skills. If anybody has a low IQ along with this deficit in adaptive functioning, then only we say, in medical terminology, in a diagnostic form, we call it is an intellectual disability. And it happens during developmental period. Please note that it happens during developmental period, that is age 18 or before. So there are 2 very important definitions. I hope you all have come across. I'm not going to discuss it. DSM says a disorder, whereas American Association of Intellectual and Developmental Disability, they don't call it disorder. So, so it is characterized by significant limitation both in intellectual functioning and in adaptive behavior as expressed in conceptual, social, and practical adaptive skills. So if you compare, both definitions are almost similar. Coming to the next, why this happens? Why this happens? Can you tell me, if somebody has high IQ, what could be the cause? We may not know. We may not know. So therefore, about 30 to 50% of intellectual disability condition that goes without any known cause. We don't know why people acquire low IQ. Maybe we all different, like people with high IQ, people with average IQ, so they have low IQ. Let us consider this as a normal. Nothing, something is a deficit or disorder. Let us not consider that. As far as medical science concerned, there are few findings, research findings, that says it correlates with intellectual disability. That is genetic factor, yes, of course, Down syndrome, phenylketonuria, PKU, fragile sex-linked syndrome. There are issues during prenatal period that could be maternal infection, illness, birth defects. There could be many causes that we associate with intellectual disability. Early childhood is a very, very critical period for any child. Any kind of childhood illness or injuries, whether it's a meningitis, encephalitis, or inadequate treatment of some childhood illness, or maybe environmental factors, that is neglect in infancy, malnutrition, abuse, all those are known factors that could be associated with intellectual disability. But as I have mentioned, there are several factors we don't know. That's an unknown cause. Why that happens, why people have intellectual disability, we don't know. We discussed about genetic abnormalities, chromosomal disorder. Think about what chromosome disorder we're discussing here in this slide. Are you able to see the slide? I understand you are seeing some kind of karyosis being placed there. And chromosome pair 21 is under circle. So my question is, please identify which genetic disorder is this. What this condition is called? Write your answer in the chat box. Yes, I know you are trying. I know you have identified, you have located where your chat box is, and you are writing there. Now you have completed writing. Very good, very good. You have wrote the answer. You have wrote the answer. If I check it, I should clap. It's a really good. People have wrote Down syndrome. Correct. Correct. Your answer is correct. So 21 trisomy is related to Down syndrome. Let us go ahead with our. Do you know how many people are in the globe? They have intellectual disability. We know there are approximately 1 to 3% of the global population has an intellectual disability. We have as many as 200 million people on this globe have intellectual disability. Intellectual disability is significantly more common in the low-income countries because of the kind of medical or healthcare system they have, the malnutrition. There are several factors in low-income countries responsible for intellectual disability. It is around 1 to 2%, or it is exactly the figure is 16.41 individuals in every 1,000 people have intellectual disability. You know, there are many co-occurring conditions with intellectual disability. The umbrella term is called developmental disabilities. It includes intellectual disability. It includes children or adults having autism spectrum disorder. It includes other neurological impairment. It includes cerebral palsy, and it includes people with intellectual disability may have epilepsy also. So these are co-occurring conditions with intellectual disability, and that happens, and you must have come across. My point is now, I just want to give you to think over why professional diagnose intellectual disability. Why we just attach a 2-word letter, intellectual disability, with a person, with an individual, with a child. For what? It's for medical purpose, it's for education purpose, it's for social purpose, or is for planning and administrative purpose? I'd like to ask you, I would like to think about this. In the beginning, I said, it's the individual difference. People are different. Also, they are different. What is to do with intellectual disability? We don't find them any kind of different. They are different like anyone else. So why we should diagnose as intellectual disability? For what? So if you agree to this, please write in your chat box whether it is you agree with A, agree with B, agree with C, or agree with D, or you can agree with A, B, or A, C, or B, C, or A, D. So whatever you answer, please write in your chat box. Okay, I think you have located your chat box. You have started writing. Good attempt. You are writing now. Very good. So you have written A, B, C, D, or A, B, or B, C, or A, D. You have got any combination. That's good. That's good. If you would ask me what could be the right answer, I would say it is A and D. Because for certification purpose, the medical professional, the rehab professionals must understand the diagnostic criteria of intellectual disability. It's nothing to do with schools, nothing to do with the socials. They are concerned with the learning. Schools are concerned with the learning of the child. Because every child has a right to learn. So whatever the child's performance level, we have to start from there. So for them, every child is the same. Every child has the right to be part of the school. Social. When you are in a group, you are in a community, you are anywhere. Why we are going to put a stigma? This is a person with intellectual disability. No. Everybody can move, everybody can participate. It is only you can give a opportunity. Planning and administrative purpose, of course. We need to know how many people we have in India, in Asia Pacific, in the world having intellectual disability. You want to plan some program, you want to plan some scheme, you want to plan some kind of activities, you must know. But otherwise, it is not at all required for everyday kind of thing. You know, many times you classify mild, moderate, severe, profound, because you know those can do some kind of academic activities, reading, writing. They can study up to 3rd or maybe 6th grade. They can do some kind of job. So you call it, yes, they have mild intellectual disability. Then you have people with moderate intellectual disability. 10% of intellectual disability population are with moderate. They may not be able to learn your basic reading or writing. They may not be able to learn much functional skills such as safety, self-help. They require some time of oversight or supervision. 5% of the population, they comes under the severe category. Probably not able to read, write, although they may learn self-help skills and routine. They require supervision in the daily activities and living environment. And only 1%, it is with profound intellectual disability. Require intensive support, may be able to communicate by verbal or other means, may have medical condition that require ongoing nursing and therapy. So if a person has mild intellectual disability, you can understand what could be the ability spectrum. With profound, you can understand the ability spectrum. going by percentage, 85%, 10%, 5%, 1%. Let me tell you, most of the individual with intellectual disability, they function very, very normal like me and you. Going for the classification, what we discuss now, it has changed over the years. Moron, imbecile, idiot, you know, these are all stigmatized kind of things. And it was before 1960s. In 1970s, it changed. It changed. They started calling is a educable group, is a trainable group, is a custodial group. 1980s to 2000 onwards, we talked about mild, moderate, severe, profound. But now, after 2007, we called it severe, hello, the connectivity was lost. I'm back again. I'm back again. Yes. My voice is audible. Thank you. Thank you. I'm coming to the presentation. So we have two categories, like mild and severe. So there have been a lot of change. They don't say mild intellectual disability. Now they call mild support group, severe support group. They need some kind of support. Rather than in a medical term, we don't use that. We use more social term, what kind of support you can provide. Let us understand intellectual disability in ICF, International Classification of Function, Disability and Health, understanding intellectual functioning. You know, if person has limitation in cognitive functioning, definitely that affects the person's activities. But the opportunity, the participation, if the activities is affected, so naturally the participation is affected. The two factors that makes them more productive. One is environmental factor. What kind of opportunities you provide. If you provide good opportunities, definitely their activities will increase and their participation also. And the secondly, the personal factor. Once they're valued, yes, you can do it. Yes, you are doing it. You have done well. So that gives a personal factor. They value themselves. Yes, I can. When they say, I'm a champion, I can. So that personal factor make them so strong that improves their participation and vis-a-vis their activities. Let us try to understand this. I have a question. You will see a photograph, a picture just after. This person is very, very strong with confidence, has extremely good self-esteem, is confident, wants to do well. despite having severe disability, the person is trying to do the best. My question is, what improves their abilities irrespective of severity of disability? Is it positive environment? Is it enhanced self-esteem? Is it both? Please choose the right answer and write in your chat box. I know you have located your chat box. Write whether A, B, or C. Write A, B, or C. Very good. I could able to see your real right answers. The right answer what you wrote, that is positive environment. They should give lot of opportunities. That is called positive environment. They consider as a valued member of our community. They consider the valued member whatever activity we do. So they have access to every place. And that improves their self-esteem. That improves their self-confidence. It is enhanced. So when both will act together, you can see this figure, how it works well. They have improved participation, improved activities. It doesn't matter whether with mild intellectual disability or moderate intellectual disability or severe. Doesn't matter. It matters the kind of opportunity you provide for participation, that improves their activities level, and that improves their adaptive functioning. So cognitive functioning is not controlling the adaptive functioning. That will remain, but the opportunities will make the person more confident, more wiser, more performing. So that is only depending you, me, and the whole society. So you have given the right answer. Thank you very much for your right answer. I'll proceed to the another question. I have a question here for you to think. Why does the label selected to describe individuals with intellectual disabilities matter? Why we should label them or why we should not label them? My question is, we should not label them. Why? Use your chat box, write in 1 or 2 sentences. Now you have located your chat box, started writing. Yes, very good. You have started writing. Yes. Yes. So I know you have given similar answers. Increased compassion for the rights and opportunities for person with ID is a right-based approach. It's not charity. You said right-based, not the charity. That's why we should not label them. Number 2, what you have written, we need to have increased effort to mainstream individuals with intellectual disability into the society and improve their quality of life. Yes, we have to improve. So many times the labeling of intellectual disability doesn't help. We have to delabel them. We have to consider they're like anyone else. So stigmatized labels decrease tolerance. We should not use any stigmatizing labels. So there is a broad construct of disability. Over the time, disability has changed. Now more a person-centered trait. I said, like person with different IQs, they are. They are not any particular group or something different from the rest. No, they are like anybody else. It's like a personality they have. Their personalities, they have little low IQ. That's the personality. They're like me and you and everyone. Limitation in individual functioning within the societal context that represent a substantial disadvantage to individual. We know disability term really pulls them down. We should not use it. And the only ultimate is we have to spread the word inclusion. Spread the word inclusion. What Special Olympics has been doing over the years. UNCRPD says inclusion, inclusion, inclusion. And we are trying our best to spread the word inclusion.